So new developments in the Clinton email investigation. We are learning today that FBI Director James Comey and Attorney General Loretta Lynch, who have had some differences over how all of this has been handled, had a little meeting on Monday behind closed doors and discussed the case. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is live in Washington with the very latest on this. Catherine, good morning to you.
Well, thank you, Martha. A government official has now confirmed that FBI Director James Comey and his boss, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, have met for the first time after his decision to reinitiate the Clinton email investigation. The official characterized the meeting as cordial, with Lynch having confidence in the FBI's review of these new documents. Though a former Justice Department official told Fox News that it's significant, Lynch did not block Comey's decision to reinitiate the case. And it probably goes back to her tarmac meeting in Arizona last June with Bill Clinton, just 1 week before Hillary Clinton's FBI interview.
When Director Comey advised her that he was planning on making this statement, she didn't feel confident enough to give him a direct order not to do it. Why didn't she? My guess is because she realized that her involvement in this had been compromised by her meeting with Bill Clinton on that plane.
The Attorney General has an event here in Washington on a separate subject, but Fox News is going to try and get some questions to her about the reopening of the email case and whether she fully backed that decision after her meeting Monday with Director Comey, Martha.
We'll look forward to that. So, Catherine, the FBI also out yesterday with some new information that may have caught the Clinton team a bit off guard, right?
Well, look, the FBI's position on these records is that the Bureau releases new documents when they're ready, and the Bureau has an obligation when there are multiple requests for the records through the Freedom of Information Act, and that was the case here with the rich documents. So they're saying it's not calculated. Timing is simply the timing. So those who have not been following this closely, just yesterday the FBI Vault, which is where these records are posted online, they're heavily redacted though, they tweeted out the fact that they were available, and this certainly alerted the media to the records and seemed to have caught the Clinton campaign off guard. There are 129 heavily redacted pages in this new release, and they're heavily redacted for privacy reasons, and it's about the controversial pardon of Mark Rich in 2001 by President Bill Clinton. Rich had faced tax evasion charges, and he had fled to Switzerland and ultimately was pardoned. And critics said, or at least pointed out, his wife was this major donor to the Democratic Party. So he died in 2013, but the controversy has lived on, and critics say it's another piece of evidence of this sort of pay-for-play mentality by the Clintons, Martha.
All right. Catherine, thank you very much.
Let's analyze now. Chris Starwood, our Fox News digital politics editor, who's working on that playbook right now. Chris, how you doing?
Living the dream, brother.
Generally speaking, did you on day 7 yesterday, 7 days away, meaning from the election, did you pick up a sense of a shift in this race? When you look at the number of polls that have been out in the last 48 hours, and whether they're right or wrong, whether they're up or down, you watch your Twitter feed from mainstream media, and you get a sense that the map is changing. Do you agree with that, A, and is that for real?
Well, I might look at it a little bit differently. We had seen the race closing over the past 2 or 3 weeks. Donald Trump was at an unnaturally low point, and it had been a very bad run for him. And we saw the race normalizing. And as we were going into last Friday, when the news broke about Tony Weiner's laptop, that things had already normalized in the race. The race had gone back to where it was, which was a small but fairly steady lead for Hillary Clinton. Now we get into this week, and part of what you're seeing out there are reporters, analysts, and others who the polls are usually right, but not every poll in unto itself is correct. So when people see a 13-point swing, or they see this up or that down, they freak out. And part of what you're seeing this week are people who thought once that the race was way out of whack and that Donald Trump had no chance, realizing that, yeah, in fact, he has a chance to win this thing.
The headlines, Obamacare increases, he's hitting that. FBI investigation, that's all over the place. Trump has not taken the bait, as you heard me talk with John Roberts a moment ago. Yesterday, between President Obama and Hillary Clinton, it was back to the war on women, characterized in a different way. And for Trump, it was the war on Obamacare. And you study some of this early voting, and you can see good news for her among Hispanics in Florida. You can also see bad news for her among African Americans in Florida and in North Carolina, and perhaps elsewhere. We'll wait to see on that. But if you were expecting to see the African American turnout in 2016, the way it had been the last 2 presidential cycles, you might have been kidding yourself a little bit, because it has not been there so far.
Right, by volume, it won't be. And I don't think anybody would expect to see African-American voters turn out in the same number that they did for the first African-American president. That sort of stands to reason. The question is, how much does it fall off? And that's also the question for her with millennial voters. How much does it fall off? What she's counting on is that she's going to do really well with suburban women. She's going to do really well with white women with college degrees. And she hopes that that'll be enough to offset.
Thank you, brother.
You betcha.
I'm looking for your email.
It's going to be good, man.
Get back to work.
Gotta wait for midday.
Halftime.
Halftime report.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, so the clock is ticking, and we're going to be covering every move that the candidates make through Election Day. And be sure to keep it here, right? Because this is the only place to be. November 8th, comprehensive election coverage that you literally cannot find anywhere else. And we will be on it. I think we're starting at like 4 in the morning and going basically all through those 24-hour, 48-hour cycle.
Been waiting for it.
Around the old election.
Been a long 15 months, hasn't it, McCallum?
Really? I hadn't noticed.